Sheri Strydhorst. I'm a research scientist with Alberta Agriculture and Forestry, and I'm working on cereal agronomy. So the research project that we're standing in front of here is advanced agronomic practices in wheat, barley, and pea to maximize yield and harvestability. It's a very large project, it's province-wide. We're down here in Lethbridge today at our irrigated site. We had a Lethbridge dryland site, a site in central Alberta at Killam, and then also a site just north of Edmonton at Bonaccord, and then a site up in the Peace region at Falher. And what our idea is trying to capture research sites in all of the wheat growing areas of the province. The idea behind all of this research is how can producers increase their wheat and barley yields? Even if we could make a 25% increase in the province, increasing it up to 60 bushels per acre, what could we do to get there to increase province-wide wheat yields? So what we're looking at is a combination of in-crop nitrogen fertilizer, so we put down nitrogen at seeding as most producers would, then top up in the growing season. We're looking at plant growth regulators, which are intended to keep crops standing and make them easier to harvest, and then foliar fungicides. Different timings, different products, just whatever tools we can use in the toolbox to help make farmers grow more wheat. But not only grow more wheat, we can do that, but also grow it profitably so that they are making money doing all of this, because if it's not going to pay them, they're not going to be doing it. In this trial, we have 12 different wheat varieties, and what they represent is different wheat classes. So we have CPS wheats represented, hard red spring wheats represented, general purpose, and also soft whites. And what I'm standing beside here is a CPS wheat variety, 5700 PR, and for each variety in this trial, we have it grown under standard management and advanced management. Standard management just gets kind of business as usual, nitrogen at seeding time, phosphorus as per soil test recommendations, herbicide, but nothing else. And if you take a look here in the crop canopy, you can see many of the leaves are dying off. It might look like maturity, but when we contrast that on the other side with our advanced agronomic practices, where we've added an extra 30 pounds of nitrogen in crop, we've added a plant growth regulator, and we've added a foliar fungicide, or 2 applications of foliar fungicide, you can just see how much healthier the leaf tissue is, and it's that photosynthetic engine that is really contributing to yield. For example, in a complementary study that we have here at this site, we see up to 48% yield advantage on a variety that doesn't have a good disease package, and that really excites growers. With the single fungicide applications, we see between a 33 to a 37% yield increase, and that makes a big difference to a producer's bottom line. This is another wheat variety that we have here. It's a hard red spring. The variety is Coleman. You can see this is the standard management, and it's lodged. Huge headache for a producer to harvest without a plant growth regulator. And this here is where we've added the plant growth regulator, and you can see just how much nicer it is standing. I think any producer, if they were going to be pulling out the combine wanting to straight cut this crop, it's a real easy decision that they'd want to be in this crop versus this one. So I think that really nicely shows some of the benefits of the plant growth regulators to producers. One of the most interesting things that we've seen in this particular trial is that not all wheat varieties are responding to all this advanced agronomic management. For example, all adding this nitrogen, adding the dual fungicide applications and the plant growth regulator is costing about $93 per acre for a producer to apply all of these practices. However, if you don't get a yield advantage with that, it's going to be a practice that producers aren't going to want to implement. Here we've got the variety Stettler, and you can see this is standard management, that's advanced management, maybe a very, very slight height reduction. They're both standing well. When you look in the canopy is nice and green, even where you don't have the fungicide. So what we can do with this research is when we find a variety, if it consistently does not need a fungicide, and growers can do that, they can save themselves a bundle of money and still get the yield. At the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do, is figure out what we can do for producers to make the most money and put the most money back in their pocketbook. It's very typical for us to manage all of our CPS wheats the same regardless of what variety, whereas we've got this hard red not responding, whereas something like Harvest right beside is responding really well. So if growers have that information, they can make much better management decisions and make more money, and that's what we're trying to do here. We need to make mistakes. I can make all the mistakes because it doesn't cost a large amount of money, but if you, as a producer, decide to grow Harvest, put no inputs into it, get a big yield drop, not so good. If you do that with Stettler, have the equivalent yield, if you don't put that in, then that is just money in their pocketbook, and that's good for agriculture. The financial support I have on this project is just tremendous. As you can see from the Wheat Commission, the other grower groups that are contributing are the Barley Commission and the Pulse Growers, and then I have a substantial amount of dollars from the Western Grains Research Foundation, Alberta Innovates Biosolutions, and ASDF, the Alberta Crop Industry Development Fund, and then just tremendous amount of in-kind support from Alberta Agriculture in terms of vehicles, equipment and things, but all the other companies providing me seed, countless seed growers, is just tremendous to have that support team behind me. It's such a wonderful collaboration. There is the financial support, but also all the industry support. I work with the chemical companies. We get input on what is working well, where they provide product, and just trying to do the best we can with the products farmers are using to make sure the results are most meaningful to industry. Research and quality research is really important for producers. The project, because we do have 5 sites across the province, and we're running it. We ran it in 2014, 2015, and we'll do it again in 2016. At the end of the study, we'll have 15 site years of data, which is really a robust data set. And the idea is, let's say we see a terrific yield response from one agronomic practice in 1 year. So that's 1 out of 15 site years. That's great. But to make recommendations, producers, if we see something that happens, for example, 13 out of 15 site years, we know that's going to be something consistent and that they can rely on. And that's what these big experiments are able to do with many site years and many locations, and just looking at the responses under different environmental conditions. When you get that consistency, that's something we know that's going to be very valuable for growers, and particularly for their bottom line.